This is a video response to Guillermo Galdos' video, Escaping Haiti's Pregnancy Crisis, Unreported World, aired recently on the UK's Channel 4 and now available on YouTube. Please see the link to this and other sources in the description of this video. I discovered this report from a post by John Peters on X.com, formerly Twitter, while researching my home country, the Dominican Republic, when I saw his reaction to Mr. Galdos' video. Due to geographic restrictions, I initially couldn't watch the video on Channel 4. However, I shared my thoughts on the situation of Haitian women crossing the border to give birth on X.com and promised to respond once the video was available globally. On April 28th, Channel 4 released the video on their YouTube channel. After watching it, I discussed my initial response with Mr. Peters and decided to create this video response. I'm not thrilled with the way Mr. Galdos chose to tell this story, although I understand he has the right to do so. While he aimed to put a human face on a story familiar to us in the Dominican Republic, his narrative might mislead casual viewers outside of the country. Let's delve deeper into this topic, exploring the complexities often overlooked at first glance. Mr. Galdos begins his report with an aerial view of a luxurious resort, creating the impression of a country defined by tourism. He then shifts to the border area far removed from the resorts to focus on the plight of Haitian women seeking medical care in the Dominican Republic. While it is true that the Dominican Republic is a tourism powerhouse, most Dominicans do not live in a tourist paradise. Yes, the beaches are beautiful and we have wonderful sights, but that is just one aspect of our reality. Mr. Galdos aims to contrast the luxurious tourist resorts with the life of a poor woman struggling to get medical care in a foreign land. However, an important actor is missing from this story. The Dominican people, who, though in a better situation than Haitians, are not living it up in swanky Caribbean resorts. Instead, many Dominicans face daily struggles, working hard to support their families and make ends meet. This discrepancy between the touristy facade and the everyday reality of Dominican life is part of the complexity overlooked in Mr. Galdos' narrative. While the Dominican Republic may be in better shape than Haiti, it is far from a wealthy country, as can be seen by anyone venturing out of the touristy areas. Keep this in mind when assessing Mr. Galdos' report. Less than 3 minutes into his report, Mr. Galdos introduces us to Meme, a 23-year-old Haitian woman who has been living in the Dominican border city of Dajabon for the last 4 years. This is significant considering Mr. Galdos previously described the heavy military presence intended to keep Haitians out, leading to fears of deportation. How Meme manages to stay in the country is relevant, but Mr. Galdos does not explain this. After introducing Meme, who explains why she left Haiti, Mr. Galdos notes her lack of a Dominican ID, which presents barriers to healthcare. Yet he shows an ultrasound report, presumably belonging to Meme, indicating some access to medical care. How she obtained this is not clarified. Furthermore, despite initial claims that Haitians live in fear of deportation, Meme has repeated encounters with Dominican civil and military officials who show little interest in arresting or deporting her or other Haitians walking around Dajabon. This contradiction is not addressed. Mr. Galdos repeats the supposed fear of deportation a few times, a fear contradicted by the fact that Meme appears not to be afraid of this happening to her when looking for medical assistance. Apparently, to dramatize the perils of this young woman, Mr. Galdos then shows her as she goes to what he describes as a walk-in clinic, a term used for facilities focused on immediate, non-life-threatening health concerns and has limited capacity for diagnostics or comprehensive care. However, this facility is clearly identified from the visual presented at the 403 timestamp in the video as the Centro de Premer Nivel Valentin Salinero. It is not a walk-in clinic but a primary care center. This facility is run by the regional branch of the Dominican Republic National Health Service, and based on what is listed about this facility in the government website, the services provided and the equipment available go beyond a typical walk-in clinic. It offers internal pharmacy. The clinic has a pharmacy capable of dispensing medication directly to patients, allowing for immediate treatment options without referring patients elsewhere. Emergency area. This area indicates a higher level of response capacity, handling urgent health issues and providing care beyond the basic level typically found in walk-in clinics. Consulting rooms. These rooms allow for in-depth consultations and examinations, facilitating comprehensive primary care services and more thorough patient assessments. Accommodations for passing doctors. This suggests medical professionals can stay on site for extended periods, expanding the clinic's capacity to provide ongoing care. Specialized equipment. The clinic is equipped with a variety of medical tools, including blood pressure monitors, which indicates its ability to perform diagnostic tests and health assessments. This combination of services indicates that the Valentin Salinero facility offers a broader range of healthcare options than a typical walk-in clinic. It provides comprehensive primary care, addressing various health needs, including emergency responses and ongoing treatments. At a later point in the video, Meme is shown going to a hospital with her translator, who tells an army officer standing in front that they were sent from the Policlínica, using the Spanish term for an outpatient clinic, not for a walk-in clinic as Mr. Galdos would have the viewers believe. For Meme, who is seeking prenatal care, this facility is appropriate, as it offers both consulting rooms for thorough examinations and an emergency area for urgent situations. The inclusion of an internal pharmacy further supports immediate treatment options. Therefore, Mr. Galdos' characterization of the clinic as a walk-in facility with limited services oversimplifies its capabilities, potentially misleading viewers about the true healthcare options that are available to her regardless of her legal status in the country. This is information that Mr. Galdos could have easily asserted while he was on the site, but he instead tells us, without showing us, that this facility lacks the staff and equipment to take proper care of Meme. He did manage to ask how many Haitian women pass through this facility, information that is shared by the doctor on site, and to his credit, he shares the statistic that over 60% of births in the border area are to Haitian mothers. It is important to point out that even in the description of the video in YouTube, it is stated that thousands of Haitian women a month are giving birth in the Dominican Republic, and that most of them have crossed over illegally. This number is no exaggeration, as according to local reports in all of 2023, of a total of 107,721 births in Dominican hospitals, 36% were to Haitian mothers, a rate of 3,231 births every month. What effect does this have on the Dominican public health system and on Dominican citizens who depend on the national health services for their health care needs? Mr. Galdos claims that the Dominican government allocates funds for treating migrants, but does not quote a source. In fact, the Dominican government has begun keeping track of the funds spent on treating foreign nationals, with 14% of the Ministry of Health budget dedicated to serving Haitian patients and other foreigners. This demonstrates the strain on the Dominican health system, although there is no specific item in the healthcare budget explicitly allocating funds for migrants. It is hard to take Mr. Galdos seriously after what happens when he appears to engage in conversation with the doctor who treated Meme and just gives the viewers a snippet of the conversation. Mr. Galdos is Peruvian and is able to talk to the doctor in Spanish, but he apparently did not feel the need to share with the public the full context of his conversation with the young doctor. He claims that the doctor is blaming Haitians for putting a strain on the health system, but he does not show her saying that. Instead, in the video subtitle, he provides an incorrect translation of what the doctor can be heard saying in the video, incorrectly claiming that she said, "Our budget goes really quickly because we're using it on Haitians." In Spanish, what she said was, "Y entonces nosotros, lo de nosotros, se acaba rápido porque también tenemos que darle a ellos, es compartido." Where it translates to, "And then we, ours, the budget, runs out fast because we also have to give it to them. It's shared." The translation provided in the subtitle subtly changes the meaning of the words conveyed in the original Spanish statement. The doctor's use of the word compartido, shared, implies that the budget is shared between the Dominican patients and the Haitian patients. This nuance is missing from the subtitle translation, which makes it seem like the doctor claims that the budget is being solely used on Haitians. The tone of the doctor's statement is neutral and factual, explaining the reality of the situation. In contrast, the subtitle translation gave her words a negative or accusatory tone towards Haitians that she clearly did not convey. It is not my intent to discuss the entirety of Mr. Galdos' report, as I believe or hope that what I have pointed out in regard to Meme properly convey the point I'm trying to make. However, the same lack of context and the hiding of facts that are on plain sight is displayed when discussing Milo, a 28 years old Haitian woman that he said has been living in the country for 2 years. Mr. Galdos said that Milo has heard of people being deported while being in the hospital, but that it's a risk she's prepared to take. Milo is shown trying to enter a hospital and being prevented from doing so by a Dominican army soldier. Again, the subtitles contain words that the soldier did not say. The subtitles read, "I can't let you in because there's a presidential order." But those words are never uttered by him. You can clearly see 2 Dominican army soldiers and an official from the hospital, and not once does anyone threaten Milo with deportation. Additionally, a closer examination reveals that just as Milo is told she cannot enter the hospital, Mr. Galdos himself emerges from the building, followed closely by a woman later identified as the hospital administrator. This sequence suggests that the scene might not have been a spontaneous encounter as portrayed, but rather a prearranged setup, potentially orchestrated to enhance the narrative of exclusion and intimidation. How is it that undocumented migrants, supposedly in fear of being deported at any moment, interact with Dominican civil and military officials and are not arrested and deported? This is not addressed or explained, even though the landing page of this episode on the UK Channel 4 site advertises an immigration crackdown, supposedly happening at hospital doors. Regardless of this fact, viewers are asked not to believe what they are being shown and just trust Mr. Galdos' words about the deportation danger. He also tells us that this intimidation, which we can clearly see is not happening, has been condemned by the UN. The presence of Mr. Galdos and the hospital administrator at the scene raises questions about the authenticity of the interactions depicted and the integrity of the narrative presented. Mr. Galdos presents us with a Haitian grandmother who is at a hospital with a tiny coffin to collect the remains of a 1-year-old baby girl who died that day. He is shown reading from the girl's death certificate and makes it a point to say that the girl didn't have an ID number. This is to be expected, as the Dominican national ID, the Cédula, is first issued to citizens and legal residents who are at least 16 years old. Did Mr. Galdos know this and choose not to tell us? Or did he not care to find out? Either scenario does not increase confidence in his reporting. Later, while visiting Nancy Betances, a local activist from a charity that works with Haitians in the border area, he meets with a group of migrant women who, according to him, are frightened because they are unable to get ID cards. Nancy, he asks her, what is the future of these children and these people without documents, without identity, without any country? Although in the video the question is addressed to Nancy, Mr. Galdos probably aimed it at the audience who are likely pondering the same question. However, the fact that remains unreported, even though it is indisputable, is that the women that Mr. Galdos made the center of this story do in fact have a country, Haiti. All throughout this report, Mr. Galdos has been dancing around the issue that is the root cause of the struggles of Haitian citizens like Meme and the other women that viewers get to meet. He presents the very important fact that Meme does not have an ID, but he never makes an attempt to explain to the audience why or what measures would need to be taken to address this problem. The same United Nations that he claimed, without proof, is condemning the supposed intimidation of pregnant Haitian women at Dominican hospitals has established the provision of legal identity for all as one of the goals of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. It has long recognized the crucial importance of issuing certificates that serve as legal tenders and establish the lifetime legal identity of the individual. Without legal identification papers, Meme is internationally recognized as a stateless individual, and crucially, so too will be her unborn child. Mr. Galdos never tells us why Meme is in this situation. A good journalist would have investigated this as part of their background research so that this proper context is presented to the audience to help them understand the complexity of the situation. Meme most likely does not have documentation due to the widely understood difficulties that Haitian citizens face in obtaining basic identification. In the 2020 country reports on human rights practices, the United States State Department highlighted the issue of statelessness in Haiti, blaming bureaucratic obstacles and a lack of coordination between government agencies for making the process of obtaining official documentation complex and costly for most citizens. As a result of these systemic deficiencies, Haitian citizens living abroad were effectively stateless or at risk of statelessness in their country of residence. This is precisely the situation that Meme finds herself in the Dominican Republic. While outsiders may view Haiti as a chaotic and hopeless country under the control of ruthless criminal gangs, this characterization does not fully encapsulate the reality across the entire country. Recent media reports claim that criminal gangs control 80% of Port-au-Prince, the Haitian capital. However, even the entire metro area of the capital comprises less than 1% of the country's territory and just over 1 million of its 11 million citizens. Therefore, the chaotic situation in the capital is not the reason why Meme and others like her lack documents, but rather the systemic bureaucratic obstacles identified by international organizations. Nevertheless, it remains the responsibility of the Haitian state to provide its citizens, like Meme, with identity documents. These responsibilities are not transferred to the Dominican state simply because the Haitian state is unable to fulfill them. Mr. Galdos apparently does not see it this way and seems to believe that Haiti's responsibility to issue identity documents to its citizens is transferred to the Dominican state as soon as a Haitian citizen crosses the border. He blatantly disregards these fundamental facts and abandons his journalistic obligation to inform the public about the true nature of the situation, even when supporting evidence is right in front of him. When the doctor at the primary care facility that Meme visited informed him that facilities and resources funded by the Dominican people are shared with Haitian migrants, did he even consider the impact on the Dominican people and their health care? Why is this not even discussed? Even acknowledging the difficult situation endured by the women who Mr. Galdos made the centerpiece of this video, observant viewers can see that the Dominican Republic is not abandoning them to their fate. Based solely on the information presented to us, it is hard to believe that their situation is as dire as Mr. Galdos wants to convey. Just consider the following. Even though Meme is undocumented, she freely walks into government facilities without disguising her legal status. She communicates in Haitian Creole, using a translator to speak with government officials who show no interest in detaining her or deporting her back to Haiti. When we first met her, she shares the results of her obstetric ultrasound with Mr. Galdos. Conducting such a test requires specialized training, equipment, and facilities, typically involving an obstetric sonologist or a perinatologist using an ultrasound scanner. Despite her humble background, Meme is well-groomed and presentable during her visit to the clinic, showing that her limited means do not equate to destitution. Although she is denied entry to a hospital, she is neither detained, arrested, or dealt with harshly. Simply put, Meme, an undocumented migrant who has been residing in the Dominican Republic for 4 years, is receiving care. This is not merely my observation. It is a reality clearly visible to anyone who views Mr. Galdos's reporting with a discerning eye. However, in those rare moments where Dominicans interact with Meme and other women, the narrative crafted by Mr. Galdos diverges sharply from reality, attributing to them words they never utter. Contrary to the dramatic portrayal suggested by the documentary subtitle, Haiti, Pregnant and on the Run, Meme is not fleeing in desperation. Rather, she finds herself in an environment where she is not only safe but also cared for, a stark contradiction to the narrative of peril that Mr. Galdos attempts to sell. The young doctor at the outpatient clinic never said that Haitians are draining the health budget. When Meme attempts to gain entry to a hospital, the translation displayed in the video claims The soldier refers to a presidential order denying services to undocumented women like her, when what the soldier actually says is, the director knows very well that pregnant women can't pass without any kind of document. Why does Mr. Galdos insist on these alterations? To suggest an official policy from the highest authority against undocumented Haitian women? Is it to dramatize the power disparity between women like Meme and the state? More importantly, does anyone really believe that her situation is not difficult with or without a presidential order? Mr. Galdos's blatant manipulation and omissions throughout this report do more harm than help to the case he is attempting to make. After this incident at the hospital, Mr. Galdos tells the audience that the soldier threatened to call immigration, and as a result, she is also in fear. Although he was present when Meme went to the hospital, he did not capture this supposed threat on video. Furthermore, Meme and her interpreter are shown in a park just a few meters away from the Dahabon mayor's building, a curious location to be for a woman supposedly in fear of the authorities. Finally, Mr. Galdos tells us that a few days later, a small miracle occurred when Meme went into labor and decided to try her luck at the hospital after a female guard allegedly persuaded the others to let her in. At this point in the video, I am unwilling to give Mr. Galdos the benefit of the doubt. He has already accurately stated that 60% of the babies born in border towns like Dahabon are to Haitian women like Meme. Moreover, the YouTube description of this video acknowledges that this so-called small miracle is a common occurrence even for undocumented migrants. Far from being a miraculous event, it is a stipulation of Dominican law that anyone within the country, regardless of their legal status, is entitled to emergency medical assistance at state hospitals. The law in question is called Article 28, Section A and B of the General Health Law of the Dominican Republic, and it read as follows. Article 28. All individuals have the following rights in relation to health. Section A, to respect for their personality, human dignity, and privacy, and to not be discriminated against on the basis of ethnicity, age, religion, social status, politics, gender, legal status, economic situation, physical, intellectual, sensory limitations, or any other reason. Section B, to emergency care at any establishment of the National Health Services System. This law and all the sources I have presented to you are linked in the description of this video. It would have been preferable for accuracy's sake for Mr. Galdos to present this information directly to the viewing audience, but he chose not to. What the viewing public saw was that, contrary to Mr. Galdos' claims, Meme was never in danger of being deported. She was cared for during her pregnancy and was guaranteed a bed at the hospital to safely deliver her baby. It seems that Mr. Galdos' foremost intent was to stir the heartstrings of his audience, weaving a narrative steeped in drama rather than the grounded reality. A report rich in balance and factuality would have encompassed a broader Dominican perspective, extending well beyond the initial glimpse of a picturesque resort. This portrayal artfully crafts a dichotomy, wherein tourists bask in the splendor of the country's luxurious resorts and pristine beaches, while Haitian migrants endure hardships, and the typical Dominican remains either conspicuously absent or seemingly indifferent to the plight of Haitian citizens residing among them. As is often the case in reports of this nature, the Dominican people, when depicted at all, are relegated to the background. The narrative either disregards or blatantly misrepresents their perspectives, neglecting the complexities they face while sharing a small island with a politically unstable and tumultuous neighbor. The only Dominicans afforded a voice are activists sympathetic to the Haitian plight and selected government officials. Meanwhile, the portrayal offers mere fleeting glimpses of opulent resorts, suggesting a reductive view of the Dominican Republic as merely a haven for foreign tourists and a stage for governmental maneuvers to address the influx of Haitian migrants. This report paints a simplistic and distorted picture, failing to capture the intricate dynamics between the Dominican Republic and Haiti. By omitting a diverse range of voices and stories, the video presents an incomplete and biased narrative that does a grave disservice to the nuanced reality and to those who are integral parts of this complex interrelation. Thank you for watching this video. Here at Dominican Voices, our goal is to present accurate and fact-based information about the Dominican Republic. While most of our content and discussions take place on X.com, we are also working to grow our presence on YouTube to reach a broader audience. We are committed to providing detailed analyses and countering misconceptions, ensuring that the narrative surrounding our country and its people is based on truth and depth. Your feedback is invaluable to us, so please comment below and let us know how we're doing. You can find us on both YouTube and X.com at Us Dominican Voices. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video to help us spread the word and continue our mission. Thanks again for your support and engagement.